All right, guys. So I'm going to try really hard to get the microphone in a good place this time. This is going to be a solo cast. Um, First off, welcome. Thank you for coming to the eighth or ninth. I'm going to stop numbering them, whatever. Um, uh, Presentation, either way, the presentation of the Jess and Corey show presents Conversations with a Squid. Anyway, so it's not as fun doing that by yourself. Um, anyway, so today we're going to be going over, or today is going to be the beginning of us going through the 9 ancestral tenets. This is brought to you by these 9 ancestral tenets I will be going over, will be brought to you by Ancestral supplements, beef liver, organs, whatever you need, bone and marrow, some of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet, dehydrated, decimated, or put into a capsule. Um, these are incredible grass-fed, grass-finished cows from New Zealand, all organic, pasture raised, all the good stuff, guys. These organs are taken care of. They're loved. These cows are loved. They come from happy cows. Good organs, good supplements come from happy cows. I feel like that was a commercial there somewhere. Used to say that. Anyway, ancestral supplements, guys. If you want a multivitamin that is going to be the most bioavailable, ready source for your body to be able to use, easy on your digestive system, amazing for your health and your inflammatory factors, your C-reactive proteins. Inflammation, guys, probably going to be the #1 cause for weight gain or health issues. Stress and inflammation, probably the 2 biggest villains when it comes to your health. All right, well, let's get into it. Week 1, we're going to go over sleep today. So anything and everything that we can think of as far as sleep goes, there can be an improvement. It's kind of intense how many things that you can do that can improve your nightly sleep routine, not to mention quantify it. Just knowing how many times, how long you're in each sleep stage. There's just about anything you can think of out there, I suppose, when it comes to quantifying your sleep or improving it. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. But so today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple of things that can help your sleep schedule, probably the most impactful, as well as just starting somewhere, So #1, we'll go over chronotypes and what those are. Then we'll go over some grounding, what that is, how you do it, where you can do it, those types of things. Cold thermogenesis, what that is, and why you should do it. Food, as far as your macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. The types of food that can definitely help with your sleep for sure. And then how important is your nightly routine will be our last one. And then at the very end, I'll give you a couple of recommendations or suggestions for some vitamins that can help you with your sleep quality. Okay, so let's go over some chronotypes. So a chronotype is a classification of our unique and natural sleep and hormone cycles that control how we feel throughout the day. Dr. Michael Bruce I hope I said his name correctly. He's the author of a book called The Power of When. Now, this book describes how in ancient civilizations, a member of our tribe used to be up at almost every hour of the night. And so there was a different group of people that would accustom themselves to sleeping at certain points of the day or night to be able to stay up and protect or secure their tribe while everybody else is either asleep or awake, right? So the first one is a bear. So the first one is a bear, and this makes up about 55% of the population, guys. So this is pretty much the majority of everybody. Our society is kind of ran on the schedule of a bear, so that's relatively easy for most of the people. Because 55%, I mean, that's more than half of the population. So it's relatively easy for about half of us. But our schedules are relatively easy. We wake up around 7:30 to maybe 9, depending on some people, early versus late. I mean, even 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Just that kind of 9 to 5 schedule. But as far as the timing in the day, or best timing to eat for a bear would be about 7:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and then for dinner is 7:30 p.m. Okay, so this is just kind of the natural circadian rhythm of your digestive system when it secretes lectin, when it starts to secrete bile acids or digestive enzymes. Our body actually has cycles, and that's why when sometimes you eat out of like your normal schedule, it can give you some upset stomach, it can cause indigestion, it can cause gastrointestinal problems. So eating at the same times regularly throughout your work week is relatively important. And then it also goes into the best time for exercise, which is about 7:30 p.m. or excuse me, 7:30 a.m. for a bear, or 12:30 p.m. And the best time for caffeine for bears is about 9:30 to 11:30. So what's kind of nice, it seems like from the information, depending on where your heritage is from, you could either be a quick digester. I don't know how else to say that, of caffeine. You digest caffeine or you metabolize caffeine relatively quickly. Some people do, some people don't, just depending on the culture of your heritage. So the next one is lions. And lions are early birds, and they're usually optimists, but they have little to no sleep drive. This means that they don't usually like to sleep, meaning they tend to be awake longer than they are asleep. But I mean, that's kind of obvious, but not necessarily a drive to go to sleep, right? These are the go-getters, the leaders in societies. Lions prioritize health and fitness and make a plan and stick to it. Those are just the types of people. That doesn't mean that all lions prioritize health and fitness or can make a plan and stick to it, but those are the types of people, types of habits, characteristics that lions might have. Unfortunately, lions go to bed early, so late night parties are kind of out of the question. Probably save you some money that way. Best time to eat for a lion is about 6 a.m., lunch 12 p.m., and dinner is about 6 p.m. And then the best time for caffeine is about 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And the best time for exercise is about 5:30 a.m. Ooh, yeah, that's a little early for my taste. No, thank you. So the next one, wolves make up about 15% of the population. So this isn't very many people, but they tend to be late night creatives and out of the box thinkers. So they crave novelty and often take risks. They do almost everything out of order, but nevertheless get things done. They also tend to be social, inverted, but have deep, loyal friends. Best time to eat for a wolf is about 8 a.m. Lunch is 1 p.m. and then dinner is 8 p.m. The best time for caffeine is 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. So this one's relatively later because they're staying up later, right? And the best time for exercise is about 6 p.m. Now, the nice part about this, guys, is that you don't necessarily have to organize your day. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to organize your day around these types of schedules. But what's nice is that you can kind of optimize your circadian rhythms best to fit your chronotypes and sleep schedules. And so you can get more quality of sleep and more like routine, which will actually help your health. This can actually help your metabolism, because our entire body is run off of hormone cycles. So when our body gets hungry, what time is the best for sex? I mean, everything in your body you can think of pretty much runs off of some type of cycle or some type of, I guess, routine, right? So the last one, dolphins. Now these ones are kind of the unfortunate. They have erratic sleep schedules, short sleep drives, and crave longer bouts of sleep, if that makes any sense. So they don't usually sleep at the same times. They don't like to sleep very much, but when they sleep forever. And what's cool about this is that, I mean, we all kind of go through a little bit of these chronotypes throughout our life. Like you can kind of think of somebody at a certain age group where these are relatively common, these characteristics, right? So as far as dolphins go, the people tend to be self-diagnosed insomniacs, just because they don't necessarily like to sleep quite as often. But like I said, when they do sleep, they sleep for a while. And then they also might be obsessive compulsive, uh, but also well-read, can talk fast, and are extremely fun. So, not to say that these people don't have very positive features too, right? It's just the priority of sleep isn't quite at the top. The best time for food for a dolphin would be about 8 a.m., 12 p.m., and then dinner is at 7:30 p.m. The best time for caffeine would be about 8:30 to 10 a.m., and the best time for exercise is about 7:30 a.m. Now, what's nice about these is that it kind of puts your exercise before your caffeine utilization, which is nice just for the fact that it kind of throws it out there that you don't necessarily need caffeine for your workout. You don't have to take pre-workout. You don't have to drink a cup of coffee in the morning. Caffeine is still one of those compounds that we have kind of bastardized. It's almost one of those things that we have to have during our day. And if you don't take caffeine, if you don't use caffeine in the mornings, if you don't drink soda pop or any of those things, coffee. My sister actually got me turned on to this mud water stuff there for a while, and that was fantastic. It was an adaptogenic herb mushroom blend, and those are pretty phenomenal. But I'm gonna have to say that I prefer coffee just because coffee is delicious. And then I also really like to put butter and coconut oil into it. And so I put that in my diet for sure, just to be able to know how much I'm getting. But those things are so healthy for you that it's amazing. It's called the bulletproof coffee, and definitely check that out. Look that up. The best time for exercise, I was saying, was 7:30 for a dolphin. And then going back through these guys, like I was saying earlier, we kind of go through all of these chronotypes in different stages of our lives, right? So, I mean, you can imagine a bear as like your working years, like you get up at 6:30 a.m., go to work out, whatever, maybe go to work, or maybe you go to work out is what I meant. But either way, so you have this basic 9 to 5 type of job, right? But then you have your lions to where uh, some people prefer to get up early and then go to work, have this wonderful amount of drive, right, for life and optimism. And then there's the wolves that like to go out, like to stay up later, but relatively creative thinkers. um, I mean, just for myself, as far as these chronotypes go, I mean, I feel like a bear at the moment, but I mean, when I was younger, I definitely felt like a lion, especially during high school, where I'd like to get up early. I like to kind of go after school a little bit, but really it was just for like the I guess the social aspect, to be able to hang out with my friends or go do whatever I wanted and then go work out or go play sports or something, it was always the motivational factor. And then as far as like the wolf, that was later into my teenage years where I don't know, society kind of starts to get a hold of you and you like to stay up late. You like to go and hang out later at night, and you're just kind of trying to figure out who you are, right? And then as far as dolphins go, that's when you're a kid and you want to stay up all night and want to never want to go to sleep, but always seem to kind of sleep for 12 hours at a time whenever you actually do finally get some sleep. I think we've all kind of gone through each and every one of those. So next topic, grounding. So grounding is also known as earthing. Okay. So this is basically the act of connecting your feet to the ground. All you got to do. That's pretty much it, guys. It's super wild how simple this is, because literally all you have to do is just connect your feet to the ground somehow. Your shoes are made of rubber. So when you think of like the electrical units in your house, everything has an insulative unit or a conducting unit, right? So it's either attracting that electric charge or it's repelling that electric charge, right? So the insulators wrap around and like I'm trying to think of another word than insulate, but basically they're just reflecting all of the interference from the outside, right? So you can think of yourself as this electrical circuit. Now, if you don't ground yourself like any other electrical unit, like your refrigerator, right? If you don't ground this circuit, then there becomes this interference from the outside, right? And it can disrupt the regulations of all of the circuits within that unit. But we are electrical beings, and that's what's kind of the wildest part about this whole thing is, I mean, yeah, you're just connecting your feet to the ground, like you're just standing in dirt, but at the same time, what that's doing is that's insulating your entire body from any outside electrical magnetic frequencies, these EMFs, right? So at ground level or at dirt level, it emits these free electrons, these negatively charged free electrons, and it is a constant flow, right? So our bodies are constantly pulling and extracting these negatively charged free electrons from the ground. And because they're technically quote unquote hot, which means that they move a lot faster than any electron that our body creates or transfers from one cell to the next, right? And these are all anti-inflammatory electrons, right? So every little free electron that your body is picking up and shipping off to the next cell, because they just they just build you up from the ground up, right? So they just keep sucking it in until you're full, right? From head to toe of these free electrons just from one cell to the other. But when you're insulating your cells like this, what you're doing is you're actually helping the entire circuit communicate better, right? So now this entire circuit, which is your body, can actually communicate between the cells more efficiently. And so everything can react calmer, smoother, and more efficient. Your metabolism rises, your circulation increases, like your blood flow increases just because you put your feet on the ground. Guys, it's anti-inflammatory. So literally just by standing on the ground that you can get rid of inflammatory factors or C-reactive proteins, which cause stress reduction, circadian rhythm improvements, improves blood pressure, relieves tension, less hormone and menstrual symptoms. It speeds up recovery. Like literally, and all of these things can massively improve your sleep quality, right? So literally just by standing in the dirt for like 15 minutes a day, you can improve your sleep immensely. It's just stupid. But then there's also this cool thing that you can find online that I don't remember the name of the creator, but he made this grounding pad, and you can look it up on uh, Amazon or look it up on the Googles, whatever. But type in earthing. It's a book called Earthing by Clinton Ober, Stefan Sinatra, and Martin Zucker. And it is an incredible read, guys. Definitely one of the best books that I've ever read. So I liked it so much that I read it over my honeymoon, and I almost finished it by the time we got it back. We were only gone for about a week and a half. It was incredible. I loved it so much. And literally, I made it a point on the trip to put my feet in the dirt every single day. I actually got to swim in the ocean as well, which is another amazing source of negatively charged free electrons. Like water is an electrical conductor, right? So it's insulating you so much and giving this blast of anti-inflammatories and stress reduction. It's incredible how well it can balance your energies and the metabolism of your mitochondria to improve your sleep. I mean, there's nothing better, right? So next is cold thermogenesis. Okay, so that's pretty much just a fancy word for being cold or getting cold. Now, there's this process called homeostasis, right? So homeostasis is, by definition, just the state of being, I guess, normal. I don't know. It's where your body wants to be at a peaceful level. You're not too hot, you're not too cold, you're not stressed out, but you're not too stressed, right? You're not stressed too much, but you're not under stressed, right? Because you need that little amount of stress throughout the day. Otherwise, there's no point, and we would just kind of like flop over. We'd be bored to death. So what it basically is, guys, is it's called cold therapy and has many healing properties, as far as ranging from neurological health, anti-inflammation. It increases your fat metabolism, and not just from like your white adipose tissue, which is your basic fat storage. There's also visceral fat, which can be found around your organs, but there's this stuff called brown adipose tissue, right? So this brown adipose tissue is in control of your core temperature, and activating this brown adipose tissue actually increases the amount of energy, I guess, free energy, right? So I know that doesn't sound like I know what it was, but at the same time, so your brown adipose tissue can actually increase your energy utilization because it doesn't go through normal metabolism when it turns this fat into energy, right? So there's this thing called beta oxidation, which is the form of using fat as an energy source, right? So you have three little gas tanks in your body, right? Amino acids, you've got fat, or you've got glucose, which is basically carbohydrates, right? So your liver will turn carbohydrates or amino acids or fat into glucose, which is basically sugar for your body to be able to use as energy, right? And then you've got this ready available source of energy, which is ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and that readily available energy needs to be abundant. And so your body starts to use glucose and then fat for its energy sources, right? To be able to create this ATP. It's called the Krebs cycle. And hopefully you have enough carbohydrates, or your body is efficient enough at being able to use fat so that Krebs cycle doesn't have to go into amino acids. But when you are working out, you are actually breaking down amino acids. And that's why it's important to take amino acids, not just branched chain amino acids, but essential amino acids when you are working out, right? So getting back to the cold thermogenesis, taking a cold shower or a cold bath, or just even splashing cold water on your face can have an amazing benefit on your metabolism, right? So increasing your energy utilization, fat metabolism, anti-inflammatory, right? And then it also has immune system building effects, or immune system, I guess, reactive effects, helping with secreting stem cells and disease fighting metabolites, right? Super awesome. I know it doesn't sound like fun, right? Getting into a cold shower or getting into a cold bath definitely doesn't sound like fun to the average. But if you can get into it, man, it's one of those things that doesn't just change your physical state of mind, right? Your like physical body, it changes your mentality, it changes your mind. It's really wild. It was actually one of the things that I would really consider helped me the most, just because of how difficult it is to get into it and how much you really fight yourself getting into a cold shower. Because there's definitely days that you don't want to do it. There's, I can't tell you how hard you're going to fight. You're going to fight no matter what. You're always going to say you don't want to do it. You're always going to say that it's not going to be worth it. But I guarantee you, if you can get over that, if you can just like round that hill, it is so much better on the other side, guys. Like understanding how good the cold is and then being able to stay in it for a decent amount of time, like 3 to 5 minutes, if not longer, is so amazing for your health. But like I was saying, my mental awareness of my stress levels, my breathing, my body, it literally forces me into a zen state of mind, which is incredible. Yeah, I can't explain it any better than that. You gotta try it. You can actually pair it relatively nicely with breath work if that's something that you like. It's definitely one of those things that you got to work on at least 2 or 3 times a week, just to kind of get yourself, I don't know, acclimated. It's definitely a challenge for sure. So next is food, right? So going into how food and what food really affects our metabolism, especially and or connected to our sleep, right? So when it comes to food, there are a few minor adjustments that can help improve your sleep quality, right? So understanding how eating certain foods and the timings of our food can and how it can affect our sleep patterns helps us understand what our body does with the foods that we eat. First, we have to know what or how our body uses those foods to be able to affect our sleep quality, right? So, the protein that you eat. Uh, First, it's broken out down into peptides, which is just a couple of connected amino acids. And eventually, all of that protein is broken down into amino acids by our digestive system, right? So, all of these amino acids are transferred to the liver and small intestines, or excuse me, to the liver. And then our liver shuttles them into our bloodstream and they are utilized wherever they might need to be, right? These amino acids can be used for absolutely anything from cell repair, tissue repair, neurotransmitters between the synapses of our nervous system, whether that be peripheral or central nervous systems, our autonomic nervous system, whatever it might be. So you can kind of deduce that amino acids can be pretty important when it comes to how efficient your body can work, right? So, specifically, the amino acid tryptophan is extremely important for sleep. Now, you can connect this one to kind of your turkey on Thanksgiving just because of the high amount of tryptophan in your turkey, which can cause lethargic tendencies or really grogginess, right? But what happens is it's the combination of that amino acid tryptophan and the carbohydrates that you eat that help with shuttling amino acids into the muscle or the liver or turned into fat eventually if there is too much, right? Like if there is um, a too much of anything, whether it's amino acids, carbohydrates, or fat, it's going to be turned into fat. Well, fat is fat, but at the same time, amino acids and carbohydrates in uh, high amounts can be turned into fat. So just understand that too much at any time can cause fat gain. But when those carbohydrates shuttle amino acids into the muscle, tryptophan is left out, giving tryptophan kind of a free pass across the blood-brain barrier. Well, tryptophan is the precursor to the hormones serotonin and melatonin. So the amino acid tryptophan from protein sources, whether it is turkey or whatever else, can have massive, I guess, benefits or effects on your circadian rhythm and how well you sleep. Because if you're not getting serotonin or melatonin, especially at the best times to be able to have those things, like later in the evening or at dinner, lunch, whenever you're trying to have a siesta, whatever it might be, if you can have that amino acid and those carbohydrates at specific time, you can pretty much bet that you're going to be tired at a specific time, which is really kind of cool because you can almost time it for bedtime. I mean, give yourself about 3 hours if you can, but at the same time, I mean, you're going to be burning it off anyway. So the amino acid tryptophan specifically can have a massive impact on your sleep quality. Okay, so next up, we'll talk about carbohydrates. Now, paying attention to the glycemic index of the carbohydrates that you eat during the day, just because the blood sugar impact of these foods that you're consuming may be contributing to your sleep quality. Okay, so stick to low glycemic index foods just because these foods are rich in natural carbs, but also little less impactful on your insulin response. Okay. So we'll get into that a little bit later, especially in the next tenet. Won't give it away. But our insulin insensitivity or insulin sensitivity can have a massive impact on our health, not just our sleep. Okay. Our sleep is kind of a good factor when it comes to describing our health, but at the same time, we want to have good sleep regardless of our health. So easy food or easy carb rich foods can be, or suggestions might be, quinoa, millet, squash, and sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes being my favorite, or dates. Dates are relatively high in carbohydrates, which is really nice. But at the same time, the easier ones being like quinoa and sweet potato. I like spaghetti squash too. I think that's pretty decent, but it's not relatively high in carbohydrates. So don't necessarily use that as your main carb source, just because you're going to be eating a lot. But kind of connecting back to the protein, like I was saying before, having these carbohydrates at a specific time, especially in the evening, can help with removing excess amino acids from your bloodstream that might be prioritizing or being prioritized higher than tryptophan. Can help with creating those amino acids, or excuse me, hormones, serotonin and melatonin, which can affect your circadian rhythm and sleep patterns, right? So being able to have those at a specific time can really impact how tired you are when it's time for bed, right? So moving along to fats. Now, fats play a specific role when it comes to sleep. For example, there are 3 types of fat that your body needs on a daily basis: saturated fat, monosaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fat. Now, saturated fat makes up the cell membranes that encase every cell in our bodies. This cell membrane is the gatekeeper for energy sources and nutrients that feed into our cells for energy production, division, and repair. So quite literally, we are fat. We're made up of fat, we're built by fat, and we sustain ourselves from fat. Okay. Now, saturated fat is also the most structurally stable fat. So our brain is actually made up of mostly saturated fat sources. But what's nice is this is unmetabolic. It's structural fat, so our body does not consume it, which is nice. But because saturated fat is the most structurally sound, our body uses saturated fat sources, or whatever fat sources it can find, for its structural components. So if you're going to build a house, it would be relatively smarter to build that house out of bricks than styrofoam, correct? Now, if your brain is made up of fat sources, or just your cells, and even in this case, our hormones, because our hormones are made up of fat compounds, whether it's omega-6 or omega-6 or omega-3 or omega-6 fatty acids. But these fats consist of a major portion of our health, right? Not just saturated fat, but those monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats have incredible responsibilities when it comes to our health. Now, we've kind of vilified fat in the last couple of years just because of the whole non-fat movement. But at the same time, if we're not getting these fat sources, guys, our body literally starts to shut down, right? And I know cholesterol has been a pretty big topic the last couple of years. But definitely do your research on what cholesterol is and how important cholesterol is for your brain, for your hormones, for everyday living and tissue repair. So definitely check that out. Pretty exciting, pretty cool when you start to look into it yourself and understand how this stuff actually plays a massive role in our body's health, right? So some good sources of saturated fat can be found in beef, butter, milk, coconut oil. Like I was saying, I put butter into my coffee every day, butter and coconut oil, and it is absolutely fantastic. It is the best way to start my day I can ever think of. And I'm so glad that I started doing it. And I actually do it through my bodybuilding competitions just because I know that it's that important for my body's health and metabolism, not to mention feeding my brain, just because those ketones first thing in the morning or fat can be used as a ketone and help with our brain's energy production. It's extremely important to get those healthy fats first thing in the morning. And if you are in a fasted state, it's even better for your body to get those fats just because it's not having that insulin response. And so you're not already kind of setting yourself up for an insulin roller coaster throughout the day, right? So cycling through hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, and just on that constant insulin roller coaster. So next one is monounsaturated fats, guys. And those ones can be found in like olive oil, which is extremely good for you. Super high in anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, polyphenols, and flavonols. Extremely good for you. Avocados are as well as nuts like almonds, pistachios, and cashews. Monounsaturated fats, or MUFAs, as some like to call it, have been shown to help reduce blood pressure, lower LDL cholesterol if it is high, and may aid in reducing the risk of heart disease. I mean, there's a lot of factors when it comes to heart disease, so kind of covering the bases is definitely one of the good things. Polyunsaturated fats, or PUFAs, is a type of fat that includes omega-3s, omega-6, and omega-9s, which are extremely beneficial for brain function. Omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory, while omega-6s and 9s may be pro-inflammatory, especially if they're coming from high seed oil. But trying to have a good ratio of omega-3 fatty acids to omega-6 fatty acids can be relatively important when it comes to your diet. So understanding where these fats are coming from is crucial. PUFAs can be found in salmon, herring, and sardines. One of my absolute favorite snacks in the world is sardines. Oh my gosh. The amount of energy and clarity that you get after having a can of sardines is astounding. It should be considered a drug. It is so good and so good for you, and the amount of awareness that you have it afterwards is fan-fucking-tastic. Also in pine nuts, walnuts, and sunflower seeds. Now, those ones are relatively controversial. And I say that just because of Mr. Paul Saladino, the carnivore MD. He thinks, or he knows, I'm not going to say he thinks, he says often that nuts of any source have high amounts of I guess, chemical compounds that are, I'm not going to say dangerous, but pro-inflammatory for your body and can actually cause more damage than good. So definitely do your research and then understand how these different types of food affects you specifically, because everybody's body is going to work differently. Okay, guys. So last one, uh, our nightly routines. Now, just kind of a brief, I guess, explanation of what my nightly routine would look like. My best nightly routine, just because life isn't perfect. It doesn't happen every night for me, but at the same time, if I was going to live in a perfect world and it happened like this every day, that would be fantastic. But usually around sunset, I turn all the lights down to lower than, I don't know, a fire, right? So any light source that's going to be on after the sun goes down is definitely going to be from a low light source. And then they're going to be from amber colored, right? Amber colored lights. These will kind of symbolize a fire. And so there's not a whole lot of blue light coming out, which can affect your circadian rhythm, especially in the evening. It can actually block the production of melatonin, supposedly. So that one is definitely important. And we've gone over melatonin a couple of times, just the importance of melatonin when it comes to starting your circadian rhythm and bedtime is crucial, guys. So as far as moving on, uh, sunset, lights go out. After that, everything else is relatively low. And then I would say a light dinner would be best, depending on what time you go to sleep. Uh, Try and give yourself about 3 hours at the best. I mean, 2 hours is totally fine. And I think an hour isn't that bad. Just try not to have a massive dinner, you know. Don't try to eat like Thanksgiving dinner right before you try and go to bed, you know. It's just, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to reach ketosis when you're sleeping, just because your body's metabolism starts to ramp up while you sleep. You'll be burning a little bit more, but at the same time, you don't want to give it a chore right before you go to bed, just because your detoxification, or most of your detoxification, happens while you're sleeping, especially in your brain. So having that ability to be able to use the blood for detoxing effects during your sleep is pretty important. So the more energy you can kind of give to that and not the digestion of your dinner, the better, right? So giving yourself as much time as possible is definitely the best. So having a light dinner would be preferred. And then afterwards, if I'm going to have a dessert, definitely make it some type of fat and protein, which would be, I don't know, peanut butter and coconut oil. Oh my gosh. And then adding some honey to it would be fantastic, just to have those natural carbohydrates. Fructose, though, just because fructose doesn't affect the liver and our blood sugar quite as much as, say, simple sugars would, just because simple sugar can turn into glucose so easily, or it is glucose. It can enter the bloodstream relatively faster, while our liver actually has to metabolize fructose and turn it into glucose before it can reach the circulatory system. So our body has to use these sugars as glucose before it can actually circulate. So having fructose isn't a bad thing, and especially at night, because those easy carbohydrates can help with that amino acid removal from your blood, or help with that tryptophan, that amino acid shuttling to your brain, starting that whole circadian rhythm off, right? Talking about that again. So after that, let's see. So lights went down, small dinner, maybe a small snack afterwards. Then if I'm going to watch a movie, I try and sit off to the side just so I'm not straight in front of it and I'm getting that blast of blue light. Best would be if I could get some blue light blocking glasses. Those are extremely helpful if you're going to be doing any work on the computer, or if you're going to be doing a movie night, what have you. So those can be relatively helpful to block the blue light, just like I was saying, because it can stop the secretion of melatonin. Then afterwards, after a movie, try and wind down even more if you can. Maybe read a couple of minutes of a book just to kind of get yourself out of that intensity from watching a movie, and then into your body for sleep. Just because, I mean, your mind is still going to be racing after watching a movie, or if you were playing on your phone, whatever it might be. Slowing yourself down a little bit before you actually get into bed can be extremely helpful. If you don't get into bed until you are passing out, it will help with solidifying the thought that your bed is only used for sleep. So instead of sitting there and scrolling through Instagram or whatever it is, you're watching Netflix while you're sitting in bed, and keeping yourself awake, actively trying to stay awake while sitting in bed, can cause the habit of you not sleeping when you're in bed. So if you're going to watch a show, if you're going to do something, do it out in the living room, do it out on the couch, do it somewhere other than your bed. And then you will actually help yourself create that habit of sleeping in the bed. Boom. So next, like I said, reading a little bit of a book or brushing your teeth, taking a cold shower. Hell yeah. Something to either wind yourself down, cool your body temperature off, or just slow your attention down so you're not spinning. If you could do that and make it a habit every single day, making your nightly routine as possible, your sleep quality is going to double. And then you can even go farther from there, just because there's so many other avenues that you can go as far as improving your nightly sleep. But starting off with those, I mean, 3 or 4 simple things, just figuring out what time is best to go to sleep for you and what time is best for you to wake up, trying to put your feet in the ground at least 15 minutes a day, like feet in dirt, toes in the grass type of action. Get it done. It doesn't take that long, dude. Like, drink your coffee with your feet on the freaking dirt. It's really not hard. How awesome is that, though? I mean, to find 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if you can find a half an hour in your day, which I know you can do, because I mean, I know all of us have a half an hour, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, or at night, to be able to just stand outside in the grass. How much better is your life going to be? How much better is your sleep going to be? Holy crap, just because you stood on the ground. And then the cold showers, I get it, dude. That one's tough. That one's going to be a hard one to get into, just because it's so difficult out of the gate and it's so unappealing. But frick, man, how popular did that cold goo, the Iceman. Um, oh crap, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Friggin' frick. But it, it, he blew up just because he wanted to go in the cold. Just because he wanted to get cold, he is now infamous, famous, not infamous. He's famous because he got cold. And he made it a meditation. He made it his meditation to get cold every single day. And then science caught up with him, literally tested him on everything. And the dude started breaking world records. Boom. Food, your protein. Make sure you're getting a full array of amino acids, all of them, every single one of them. Don't just focus on your branch chains. That's arbitrary. That's silly. Just because you're getting leucine, isoleucine, and valine doesn't mean that your body's going to be fucking perfect. Figure it out. There's like 100 different amino acids, whether they're essential, non-essential, or just some of them seem even made up. Get them all. Get every single one of them. Your body uses it for some reason, somehow, somewhere. Your carbohydrates, just don't overdo them. As far as carbohydrates go, try and time them. That's going to be the biggest impact on your sleep quality. Timing your carbohydrates is probably one of the best things that you can do to help with your sleep quality and controlling your metabolism. Holy crap. Fats, stop being afraid of fats. Eat fat. Eat it. Eat more of it. Your body needs it. And it needs a lot of it. It actually needs you to catch up on the amount that you haven't been eating because it knows. And when it's not getting it from somewhere, that means that it's eating itself to be able to create those things. It's literally cannibalistic. Your body does this on a daily basis when it doesn't get the nutrients, vitamins, minerals, all of it, any of it. Now, there's some people that'll say that you can be your own alchemist, right? And the high priests and the great meditators only needed to breathe. Well, good for them. I like to eat steak and eat avocados. That's how I roll. I think protein shakes and avocados are freaking tits. Chips and guacamole, done. Hell yeah. That's how I'm going to do it. And then get out a piece of paper. Write down what your best nightly routine could be. Write it down. Try and plan it out. Like put all the hours down and time it out. See what it would look like. See what your best nightly routine could look like. How awesome. Okay, guys. So a couple of suggestions for vitamins that can actually help you with your sleep quality. Number one, melatonin. Don't go more than 5 milligrams. You don't need to. There's research that shows that you can take massive amounts, but don't. You don't need it. There's no point. If you're having a hard time sleeping, taking 1 to 5 milligrams of melatonin before dinner and then winding yourself down, like I was saying, and turning down the lights and maybe reading a book, you're gonna sleep. Guarantee it. You're gonna pass out. No alcohol needed. Omega-3s. And these ones are really cool because if you take your omega-3 supplement in the morning, that's extremely beneficial for your cognition, which is super cool. Like having high doses of it is actually a biohack that Silicon Valley was using for a while. And they would have massive doses up to like 8,000 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids like DHA and EPA. If you're getting it from a good source like not canola oil, but like cod liver oil, krill oil, olive oil, like I was saying, the sardines, super high in omega-3 fatty acids. Dude, that's a drug. There's something in there, and it's good for you. Magnesium. This one's kind of a big one, and I think everybody should be taking a magnesium supplement just because it's one of those electrolytes that our body needs on a daily basis, and I don't feel like we're getting enough. So having a good magnesium can really improve not just like your sleep quality, it can help your mobility when it comes to your digestive system. So definitely be careful and don't overdo the amounts just because you could get something I call disaster pants. You'll find out. Uh, Essential amino acids, like I was saying before, making sure you have a full array of amino acids, all of your essentials. There's 9 essential ones. Having all 9 of those, I mean, before you have dinner. I mean, having all of those amino acids, having like 5-10 grams of amino acids every day, or timing them at a specific time in the day if you're doing a workout, like beforehand, during, whatever, or before dinner, and helping with your like sleep routine, that'd be fantastic. Not to mention they're tasty. Some of them really taste good. MCT oil or coconut oil, really all this is the fats. It's fat. It's the anti-inflammatory fats. It's the omega-3 fatty acids that help with your brain function. Super good for you. Apple cider vinegar and raw honey. The honey one is really strange. I'm not sure. I haven't seen, or I don't remember why raw honey is a good thing for sleep, but I've heard that it's extremely beneficial. And then the apple cider vinegar is helping with your blood sugar levels. So helping balance your glycemia, I guess is how you say it, your blood sugar levels. But then something about the raw honey is supposed to help immensely with your sleep quality. I've also heard that having like 2 kiwis or tart cherry juice before you sleep can help with sleep quality too. So I mean, definitely give those a try. You never know. Everybody's different. Awesome, guys. So that really kind of wraps it up for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for coming to the next episode, the first episode of our 9 ancestral tenets. This has been Conversations with a Squid. Love you. Bye.